Following the shocking suicide of Elisa McNabney, prosecutors were about to proceed with their case against Sarah Dutra. Here with the conclusion to our story is Keith Morrison.
It was the winter of 2003, more than a year after Larry McNabney was poisoned with horse tranquilizer. His admitted killer, his wife, Elisa McNabney, chose her own destiny. And her alleged accomplice, Sarah Dutra, alone, faced the possibility of spending the rest of her life behind bars.
You attended the trial every day?
Yes, 11 and a half weeks.
Why?
Our DA had talked to us about the importance of our family being represented, that my dad not being forgotten.
Tavia believed that her father died at the hands of both Elisa and Sarah. But while Sarah admitted to being there when Larry died, and in the days and months that followed, she adamantly claimed she never went to the police because she was so afraid of Elisa, and of ending up just like Larry. A theory that even prosecutor Thomas Testa found, well, believable.
When I first got this case, people in my office will tell you that's exactly what I was saying walking up and down the halls.
Poor Sarah, she's a victim
Sarah,
here.
She's just an aider and abetter. But as I got deeper into the case, I totally turned around on this. But I started with that very mindset.
As Testa reviewed the evidence in preparation for trial, he became convinced that Sarah Dutra was in fact the woman in charge.
Sarah did not like Larry. She always accused him of being full of himself, talking about himself all the time, self-centered. She didn't like him. So Larry didn't want Sarah around. Sarah did not like Larry.
You know, this sounds to me like two people who both love Elisa and want the other out of the way.
That is what that's it. That's exactly it. It was a love triangle, and one of them had to go.
Sarah, said prosecutor Testa, was enjoying a very fancy life with Elisa, and Larry was simply in the way.
If your theory is right, these are two kind of good time girls who have got this great relationship and they're living off the proceeds of Larry, why get rid of him? They have no motive.
Larry was Elisa's golden goose, but Elisa was Sarah's golden goose. And Sarah was about to be cut out of this whole triangle. Larry had just told her the day before he was killed, 2 days before he was killed, you know, that he wanted her gone, he wanted her fired.
So, said Testa, it was Sarah who had the motive to kill Larry. Sarah's lawyer, of course, saw it differently.
It seems like a classic instance of, evil sort of wrapping around a sweet young little baby.
At the trial, defense attorney Kevin Climo portrayed Elisa as a black widow, a sophisticated con artist who wanted her husband dead. And Sarah was her innocent and terrified pawn.
This is the most horrible thing I've ever liked. And I didn't do it, but not because I wanted to. Not because I want you to know that. Not because I wanted to.
Really? Now prosecutor Testa introduced Ginger Miller. Remember her, the other secretary who worked alongside Sarah and Elisa? She said, in the days and weeks after Larry vanished, Elisa and Sarah seemed to feel anything but remorse.
They're laughing together, they're shopping together, they're eating together, they're sleeping in the same bed together, she's living at her house.
So they were not really working, were they?
They would get maybe 2 hours of work done a day.
And what'd they do the rest of the time, just party?
Shop, hang out, sleep late, go flirt with boys.
All the while spending the firm's money, Larry's money. A lot of money.
Elisa got a red Jaguar, Sarah got a red BMW.
Such close friends, or maybe more than friends.
They bought matching underwear together.
Come on.
Yeah, no, my first week they're like, look what we bought. They pulled up, they both had wearing matching underwear. They were best friends.
They were blowing through money so fast they fell behind on rent payments for the law office, got evicted. So they moved the office into Elisa and Larry's home, which, according to Ginger, now seemed more like Elisa and Sarah's home.
Up in the rooms, they had no clothes of Larry's. The closet was cleaned out. And in the bathroom, hers and Sarah made the sinks hers and hers instead of his and hers.
Like they knew he wasn't coming back.
Well, she said, yeah, they were pretty much moving him out.
Well, not quite. Because all this time, remember, Larry's body was still in the garage, still in the refrigerator. And as for the idea that Sarah was an innocent child, Elisa's puppet, that was nonsense, said Ginger.
Everybody knows that she wasn't terrified of her. Sarah had as much say as Elisa had in the whole situation.
But at her trial, Sarah, the daughter of those devout Christians, sat quietly at the defense table, a wide-eyed innocent. Elisa wasn't around to be cross-examined, so her videotaped confession didn't get played for the jury. And with no DNA, no prints, no trace evidence, no living eyewitnesses, the case against Sarah was entirely circumstantial.
It's first-degree murder.
It's first degree, yeah.
But would the jury see it the way he did? After 4 days of deliberations, the jury found Sarah Dutra guilty of voluntary manslaughter and accessory to murder, not first-degree murder.
Had she not been a young, attractive, tall blonde whose parents were clutching Bibles, crying in the first row, one wonders if this verdict would have been the same.
Sarah Dutra was sentenced to 11 years, served 8. And in the summer of 2011, at age 31, she was released.
It's painful to know that such little time was given for such a horrific crime, and one that seemed so premeditated to me and so thought out and so callous to the end.
Sarah Dutra has not responded to our interview request. And Tavia says she has forgiven Sarah, as much for her own sake as anything.
Will I ever forget what she's done? Never. But I don't want to have my whole life be their cruelty and the things they chose to do to him. I'd rather remember the loving times we had together, and they're not going to take that away from me.
That's all for this edition of Dateline on ID. I'm Lester Holt. Thanks for watching.